Hi, my name is Nick Procopio, and these are my participants. Today I'd like to talk to you about proper airline travel and preparing for it. I work for Delta Airlines, and I see a lot of different people traveling every day in different situations. Where to purchase a ticket would be to go on to deltaairlines.com or go to Southwest Airlines or American Airlines or even Expedia or a third party like Expedia like Priceline.com. Catherine Crispin article stated, as the number one thing you do before traveling is find the best airfare. Crispin also stated that you always need to compare between airlines. Reason being is because you might find a cheaper ticket or you might find the better deals traveling through two different airlines. The next thing I'd like to talk about is airline travel specifications. A check-in requirement, you must be there 2 hours prior to your departure of your flight. Reason being is that you might expect delays, you might have mechanicals, you might have to be rebooked on an earlier flight or even a later flight or even another airline. So you always got to make sure you're always there 2 hours prior. It's stated in all the documentations when you purchase a ticket or even when you're just researching online for someone who has never traveled before. Next thing I'd like to talk about is baggage and carry-on requirements. If you're checking a bag fees might now range from $20 to $40 or even more, depending on which airline you fly. Delta does charge $25 for the first and $35 for the second, which is actually pretty decent compared to other airlines when traveling. So if you've never traveled before, make sure you have either cash or credit card on hand to make sure you pay for those checked bags that you are checking. Another type of baggage check would be your carry-on items. Best type of carry-on item would be something like this. This would be considered a rollerboard bag. The rollerboard bag is an easier carry-on. It's got to fit in these proper dimensions in order to check and put in the overhead bins. The reason why it can't be any bigger is because, for one, it's weight issues. Another, it just won't fit on the airplane, so it's going to be checked and it'll be checked to your final destination. The next personal item, you can check personal items, which would be like your laptop bag or a duffel bag, a minor duffel bag, or like carrying something like this, but there's also smaller versions that are considered a personal item that have your laptop bag in it as well. It could be a laptop bag as well. The next thing I'd like to talk about is TSA and FAA requirements. According to the TSA website, you must have proper ID to travel. The proper identification that we use to travel would be a passport or a passport ID card, which is only used for within the domestic United States or even to Canada or to Mexico, and they can't be used anywhere outside the United States because they're not acceptable for travel because of the documentation on it. It's only available for United States. Anybody above the age of 18 or higher has to have proper identification. If they do not, then they are not allowed to travel. If you are traveling internationally, the infant must have a passport if you are traveling with a child. If that infant doesn't have any documentation, the infant can't go and you can't go as well. Another form of identification would be if you're in the military, your U.S. military ID. U.S. military IDs give you specific rights and the abilities to travel because it is a government-issued ID along with anybody who has a driver's license. Your driver's license expired, you cannot travel. If you cannot travel with a proper identification, you have to receive that proper identification in order to travel. Otherwise, you can be subject to fines by the TSA or the FAA. TSA also has what they call liquid requirements. If you are checking a carry-on with that size or a personal item, you must have your toothpaste, your hairspray, anything needs to be in 3.4 fluid ounces in a quart-sized bag. You can only have one quart-sized bag or they toss the other stuff away, or if you have an argument about it, you can be subject to fine. Next thing I'd like to talk about would be the boarding passes. When you're checking in for your flight, make sure you get your boarding pass. Your boarding pass will have your proper destinations, which would be right here, or your seat number. Sometimes you might not have a seat number and will need to see a gate agent. Your departure time and your boarding time. Keep an eye on the boarding time because flights do board anywhere between 45 minutes to 20 minutes prior to departure. Always check the monitors at the airport to check and see if your flight is on time or if it is delayed. That is also why we require you to be there 2 minutes prior. In closing, I like to say that whenever you're checking in for an airline, and if you have never done it before, it is good to research how to check what bags you should check and where you go when you check in. Most airports have kiosks outside checking or inside kiosk checking. The best way to do it would be to ask anybody that has a badge on, or anybody that looks like they know what they're doing, or even people who are experienced travelers. I hope you enjoyed this information. I hope it was helpful, and you'll have a great day. Again, here's my participants. And thank you again, and hope you all, if you have any other questions about airline travel, you're more than welcome to email me. Thanks. Yay!